All right, we are here to talk about Wraith. Jordan, you've been playing a lot of Wraith.
Well, she is my main character for many reasons. She's kind of a complex character to get a handle on. She's kind of a bit more of a skirmisher. So if you're kind of new to first-person shooters, maybe she's not the first pick for you. Maybe you go someone like Bangalore or something like that instead. But once you do have a handle on Apex's controls and how Wraith works, you can use her abilities to really bamboozle other opponents and do a lot of really advanced hit-and-run tactics.
Well, why don't we start with Into the Void? Into the Void is her tactical skill, and it allows her to reposition herself quickly through the safety of void space. What are some tactics with that?
So probably my most used tactic for it is just to get out of dodge. Like if she's being shot at, being sniped at, a grenade's incoming, I'll just use Into the Void to reposition myself away from the danger, behind cover somewhere else. Because even if she's not completely invisible while she's using this ability, she is invulnerable while
it's 3 seconds of invulnerability.
Exactly. So I will admit that there is a bit of a problem with Into the Void. If you do use it, other enemy wraiths can follow you into the void and easily follow you. You're all in the same void space. It can also be easily countered by other enemies just around you if you happen to be in an enclosed space, because as Wraith into the void, you can only clamber over objects. You can't go through them. So if you're in a building and everyone shuts all the doors and windows, you can't get out. And enemies can easily then just figure out where you are because they can see the little blue line that you're leaving behind as you're trying to get away. That's happened to me on way too many occasions.
And you also mentioned pay attention to the shadows. What do you mean by that?
So you'll notice that when Wraith dives into the void, there's these weird black outlines in the void space. And those are basically other Wraiths from like other dimensions and times. So if you go towards any of those shadows, that's basically marking where you're going to exit the void space. So if you see one off to your right and maybe another one kind of in front of you, it's basically saying if you turn to the right now, this is where you're going to exit the void space. But if you continue forward the direction you're going to come out of the void space over here, which is a nice way of keeping track of how much time you have left if you don't want to just count off 3 seconds in your head.
Danger, move. Down an enemy.
Let's move on to her passive, Voices from the Void. This is basically like Wraith's Spidey sense. A voice warns her when she's being aimed at, when she's surrounded, if there's a trap, anything like that. And then from there, you can press down on the D-pad if you're playing on console, and you can warn teammates.
They might be watching. I think I may have been spotted.
Exactly. It's definitely an ability that is kind of selfish in the event that you hear about it first. It doesn't alert all of your teammates. It's up to you to be the better person and let your teammates know that there's danger approaching, which you absolutely should, because this is a very powerful ability, especially when it's getting really close and it's the very small circle and an enemy could be around any quarter. It's ideal for dealing with snipers because she'll get a warning whether she's being pinged or she's in a sniper scope.
They spotted me. I'm taking shots.
I am taking fire, friends.
Then she can just pop into the void as soon as the shot's coming at her. Or if you're in a close quarters fight and you know there's a caustic or something like that around, she'll warn you of any traps or if someone's sneaking up on you because it amplifies footsteps.
Someone's targeting me. You're not safe there. Good. Picked up our teammate's banner.
So ideally, wear headphones because the whispers and the footsteps are very, very quiet and they'll typically sound before you get the button prompt. So wearing headphones gives you just a tiny like half second like head start.
They might be watching.
And then finally, her ultimate skill, Dimensional Rift, and this basically allows her to place 2 portals, and you can travel between those portals. But it's not instantaneous. You do travel between, but you're invincible as you travel from one to the other.
Yeah, exactly. And you only have 60 seconds to use it as many times as you want. And I've seen a lot of people use this as a support, getting a down teammate from a dangerous firefight to someplace behind cover.
Or even just getting into the circle quicker.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Moving your team where they need to be quick.
I set the portal.
But I instead prefer to use it in a more offensive approach to bamboozle people, since people are beginning to realize now that enemies can go through Wraith's portals. A lot of people now try to chase enemy teams who try to escape through Wraith's portals, so I'll try to trick people and put one portal like over an edge or in a spot where I know the zone is going to be sometime, hoping that an enemy foolishly decides to just dive into a Wraith portal before even checking to see if anyone went into it first. And sometimes they fall to their death, sometimes they land somewhere outside the zone, and if none of those things are close enough or available, have a caustic throw down a trap, have someone have thermite grenades at the ready, something, anything waiting on the other side of the portal to just basically pepper whoever decides to foolishly just step through thinking that they're going to get an easy kill.
And that's a good way to transition into her weaknesses. Caustic can do a lot of damage to her.
Oh, yeah.
I've had a couple times where I've placed 2 portals down and I go through it, then I go back through it, and I come back through and there's a caustic trap waiting for me, and then I'm slowed, I'm taking damage, and they just pick me off really easily.
I was about to say, caustic will do it. Bangalore can smoke you as soon as you go through that portal, and that's just the worst. But because Wraith has such a tiny hitbox, if she goes through the portals like behind another person much larger, say like Gibraltar, it's much harder to hit her because I don't know, her hitbox for whatever reason is just so much smaller than almost every other character in the game.
And that's it for our Wraith guide. If there's anything we missed or you guys have any strategies, make sure to leave them in the comments below, and stay tuned to GameSpot because we have more of these guides on the way.